Welcome to our biology program. Today we are continue the sexual reproduction. In the last period we talked about the sexual reproduction and it needs two individuals to undergo, male and female. Okay. Also we describe the first type of sexual reproduction, conjugation. Conjugation means that there are two filaments and these two filaments in spirogyra undergo two types of conjugation. First is clariform conjugation and we finished it in the last period. Today we are describe what is the lateral conjugation. The lateral conjugations also occur in spirogyra. Okay, what happens in the lateral conjugation? In lateral conjugations means the one row or one filament of spirogyra. Okay, not two filaments like the scleriform. In scleriform, we describe there are two filaments of spirogyra. These the two filaments stand with each other, and after the protoplasm make a sphere, it can transfer from one filament to another. But now we describe the lateral conjugation by only one filament. What happens for the spirogyra? We can see what happens for this. Okay, lateral conjugation. This conjugation occurs in case of the presence of one algal filament. Means filament, only one filament. Okay, it occurs between the adjacent cells. Means the cells become nearing to each other. Means two cells neighboring to each other of the same algal filament, where the protoplasm of one cell moves to the adjacent cell. Means the protoplasm transfer from one cell, go to the neighboring cell by a small opening, this separating between them by wall. Okay, this is the form of spirogyra. Life cycle of spirogyra. Okay, conjugations occur. This one filament in the right side show what happens in one filament. One filament undergo this type of reproduction, conjugation process by meiosis division to germinate and to produce a new filament for spirogyra. Okay, there are two types of scleriform conjugation and lateral conjugation. Scleriform occur between the opposite cells of two algal filaments that are adjacent longitudinally, while in lateral conjugation occur between two adjacent cells on the same algal filament. The component of one cell move to the adjacent cell on the same filament. Okay. Also, another type, scleriform, another point for comparison, the component of one cell move to the opposite cell on the opposite filament. The cell component move through conjugation tube by two opposite cells. But in lateral conjugation, what happens? Okay, same filament, the cell component moves through an opening from one cell to the neighboring cell or to the adjacent cell in the same filament, not another filament. Reproduction by sexual gametes. The higher plants and animal reproduce by sexual gametes, male and female, that result from meiotic division, that take place in gonads. Gonads means genital organs. Genital organs, ovary, testes, anther for the plant. Types of gametes. There are two types of gametes, male gametes and female gametes. We describe them. Male gametes producing organ. What is the organ which produce the male gametes? Testes in animal and the human, but anther in the plant. While the female gametes, the same name in plant and animal with human. What is the female gonads? Ovary. Ovary produce ovum. Okay. Testes produce sperm. Anther produce pollen grains. Okay. Male gametes and female gametes. Male gametes is produced in large number. Okay. to compensate their loss, produce large number of gametes to compensate their loss. And also they have or produce 4 male gametes because some of them are subject to loss during their journey to female gametes. While in female gametes is produced in few number as each primary cell produce 1 female gametes. Now, after describe the male gametes and female gametes, we will undergo what is meant by fertilization. Male gametes comes from the male individual. Female gametes comes from female individual. And the organ that responsible for formation of ovum in female named by ovary. The organ that produce pollen grains and sperms, pollen grains anther, sperms, testes. What happens after that? They undergo fertilization. What is the fertilization? Fertilization is a process in which the fusion occurs. Fusion means the 2 cells become combined together to form the embryo or fetus. Okay, these pollen grains with ovum form the embryo, which is stored inside the seed. Okay, until we grow or until undergo the fertilization, undergo the cultivation. But in human, what happens? Sperm fuse with the ovum to form the baby or embryo. This embryo undergo many division, mitotically division, to produce a new individual, okay, fetus, embryo inside the uterus of the female. What is the fertilization? Fertilization is the fusion of male gametes, nucleus N, and female N means haploid number of chromosomes, with the female gametes which contain also haploid number of chromosomes, to form the zygote to N, which divide mitotically to form the embryo. External fertilization and internal fertilization. External fertilization occur in most aquatic animals. In aquatic animals like bony fishes and toads. Internal fertilization occur in terrestrial. Terrestrial animals means animal live on land, such as amphibian, birds, and mammals. So external fertilization occur in water, like when the fish put their eggs in water. After that, the male of fish comes and puts the sperms on them. And this is large number of eggs formed due to exposure to loss. External fertilization, both male and female throw their gametes together in water. يبقى في الاكسترنال fertilization الميل والفيميل put their gametes in water, where the gametes move through water for occurrence of fertilization and formation of embryo. While in internal fertilization, what happens? Male should introduce his sperm to ova that remain within the female. Like the human undergo internal fertilization when the ovum inside the uterus of the female and the sperm enter inside the body, inside the uterus, until reach to the ovum and fertilize it. Asexual reproduction occurs by isolation of part of body and development into a new individual, occur by one parent. Sexual reproduction occurs by fusion of a male gametes with female gametes that is suitable for its species to form the zygote, which divides and develops into a new embryo. Necessitates the presence of two parents. In sexual reproduction, necessity for presence of two parents, male and female, okay? Or maybe hermaphrodites. Hermaphrodites means male and female found in the same organism, and this is also found in worms, okay, like bilharzia worm. Bilharzia worm is hermaphrodite. Hermaphrodite means bisexuals, male and female found. Also, the asexual reproduction depends on mitotic division, occur without gametes. Features of this generation remain the same. But in sexual reproduction, also formation by the gametes Then mitotic division occur. Gametes present on the provide descendant with continuous innovations of their genetic content. Alternation of generation. What is the alternation of generation? Sexual reproduction and asexual. Alternation of generation is a method by which the living organism undergo two types of reproduction, sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. Means during its life cycle, the worms like the bilharzia worm undergo alternation of generation by sexual reproduction and asexual. Means undergo the both of reproduction. Sexual inside the living organism like the human, and asexual outside of the human by increasing the number, increasing the number of infective stages, cercaria. Okay, this is type of alternation of generation. So you must know that alternation of generation show two types of reproduction, sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. نخلي بالنا ان ده نوعين من الريبرودكشن occurs in the same organism, in the same life cycle, in the same time. Reproduction during their life cycle to gain the advantage of both methods together. Sexual reproduction achieves the genetic diversity, means different in the genetic character, that enables the individuals to disperse widely and conform with the environmental fluctuations. Asexual reproduction achieves the rapid reproduction and large number of offsprings. This may be associated with the variation, means variations and change in the number of chromosomes in the cells. This alternate generation. Asexual reproduction means the same number of chromosomes happen. Means if the cell contains 5 chromosomes or 6 chromosomes, it produces 6 chromosomes. For example, okay, alternation of generation, phenomena of succession, okay, of 2 or more generations in the life cycle of organism, where there is a generation that reproduce sexually and alternate with another that reproduce asexually. First life cycle of malaria. Malaria or plasmodium, malaria parasites. What is the plasmodium? Plasmodium is considered from the sporozoa that parasite on both human and female Anopheles mosquitoes. Life cycle of malaria. Malaria is a disease. Okay, malaria ده مرض الملاريا أو malaria ده plasmodium. Plasmodium is a proto or sporozoa that parasites. Okay, means feed or live inside the human and the female mosquitoes. Okay, in the female mosquitoes or in the malaria mosquitoes, what happens? This is life cycle show two types of reproduction. Sexual reproduction inside the human and asexual reproduction inside the mosquitoes. These parasites infect the human, and after infection the human can transfer to the mosquitoes and undergo inside the stomach of mosquitoes asexual reproduction and undergo inside the human blood of the human sexual reproduction. These two methods of reproduction, sexual and asexual, make or named this organism by alternation of generation. In the life cycle of plasmodium, there is a generation that reproduce sexually by gametes. In mosquito, then generation that reproduce asexually by sporogeny in mosquito and by zygosity in human. This is a type of reproduction occur inside the human body, okay, to produce parasites. The life cycle, what happens for the plasmodium inside the mosquito body and inside the human. Okay, first, if the mosquito invades the skin, means invade the skin means penetrate or make a piercing by their mouth inside the skin of the human. What happened? The first, it moves with the blood until reach to the hepatic cell. In the hepatic cell, the mosquitoes undergo أو mature liver sheaths بنقول عليه merozoites. After merozoites, it go with the red blood cell أو erythrocytes. Erythrocytes means red blood cell. What happens inside the erythrocytes? The merozoites undergo mitotically division inside the blood and ruptures to form many of gametocytes, which also return back. If you see in the female or in the mosquitoes, what happens inside the mosquito? Inside the mosquito, sporozoites to the salivary gland. السبوروزويدز دي بتوصل للساليفري جلاند بتاعت الموسكيتو عشان لما تعمل بيتس للهيومن تقدر تخترق السكين بتاع الهيومن وتدخل جوه البلاد بتاعه. In the first, microgametes change into macrogametes. After that, it change into zygote. So, mosquito midgut inside the stomach of the mosquito, the oocyst bursting the cyst and migrate to reach to the salivary gland of the mosquitoes. This problem occurs when the mosquito bites your skin. The sporozoid or sporozoids moves with the blood until reach to the liver. Inside the liver undergo this asexual reproduction. Second, the life cycle of furnace plant. Okay, fern plant or polypodium. Polypodium is a type of fern plant which also undergo alternation of generation. Alternation of generation occurs inside the animal like the plasmodium and also in the plant, okay, for polypodium. What happens in polypodium? Polypodium ده type of plant. بنقول عليه ان هو ornamental plant. Ornamental plant means plant that feed or for decoration. Okay, adiantum that grow on the edges of wheels and shaded streams. What happens for this? Polypodium is considered the typical example for phenomena of alternation of generation. ده حاجة كده ideal. Polypodium ده بنقول عليه ان هو ideal example for alternation of generation. There is a sporophyte phase. Sporophyte phase means that this phase contains diploid number of chromosome 2n that reproduce asexual, means make mitotic division to produce the spores which contain N and alternates with another gametophyte to produce gametes, gametes which contain N. In polypodium type of plant in which undergo the sexual and asexual reproduction. First, asexual reproduction undergo by formation large number of this, large number by the same number of chromosomes, large number of sporocytes. But after formation, the large number of sporocytes, these sporocytes enter or undergo another sexual reproduction to formation of gamete. When it forms the gametes contain haploid number. So, sexual reproduction by mitotic division and then followed by, say, asexual reproduction. This is sexual by asexual, sexual by asexual. This named by alternation of generation. Make undergo sexual to formation of gametes and undergo asexual to form the sporocytes. This is the polypodium plant in which the spores formations. After that, this sporophyte, after invention, it forms the another gametes. A sporophyte phase. The life cycle of polypodium start with the sporophyte, okay, which carry sori on the lower surface of its leaves, having sporangia, which contain spores cells 2n. The spore cells 2n divide meiosis, giving the spores. On the spores maturation, they are released from the sporogeny and carried by wind 10 far distance. Gametophytes, when the spore falls on a wet soil, it germinates, forming several cells that develop and differentiate immediately into a flat body which grow in the form of heart shape above the wet soil. And it is known as the gametophyte phase, whose lower surface is characterized by the presence of the following. Rhizoids. What is the rhizoid? Rhizoids grow on the posterior region of the lower surface of gametophyte process that penetrates the soil to absorb water and salt. What is the genital process? Genital process grow on the anterior region of the lower surface of gametophyte, and they are two types, which are number one, and male organs, antheridia. Male organs named by antheridia. This is produced male gametes. Ciliated sperm means the sperm contain small hairs to enable them to move inside the water. Archegonia. Archegonia means female organs. These female organs to produce female gametes, eggs. The flowering plant, there are large group of seeded plants that are called angiosperm, as their seeds develop with a precarp. They are common in various habitats and vary in their size from small herbs to giant trees. The flowering plant reproduced by specialized organ. This is specialized organ called the flower. Okay, what is the flower? Flower is the reproductive organ in flowering plant, and it is a short stem whose leaves are modified to form the various floral parts. This is the reproduction in plant. What is the reproduction in plant? Okay. Reproduction in plant means must be found the flower. عشان يحصل reproduction في البلانت لازم يبقى عندي البلانت ده flowering plant. Flowering plant means produce flowers. The flower contain male gametes and female gametes. When they contain or reach to maturity, like in spring season, okay, في الربيع أو في السبرينج, what happens? الفلاورز بتبتدي تبقى كلها maturity. هو في فصل الربيع ده بيحصل نقول عليه اللي هو sexual reproduction for flower to produce a new plant. Okay, first to produce seeds, and after cultivating the seeds, you can obtain a new plant. So what is the flower? Flower is a part of the plant. جزء من البلانت, part of the plant. What happens to this part? Modified. These leaves modified. Modified يعني اتحورت. Change in its shape to form the part of the flower. Okay? Calyx, corolla, okay? Ovary, and also the anthers. The flower may be with a bract or without bract. Means carry on a pedicle, or sessile, no, means without pedicle. What is the breast? Breast, what is this? It is a leaf that form its axial. The flower emerge and it varies in the shape and the color from a plant to another. Okay, bract بنقول عليها ان هي change في الcolor from plant to another. Inflorescence. What is the inflorescence? Inflorescence is a group of flowers on the flower axil and aggregation or collected together. Some flowers collected together to form inflorescence. Inflorescence happen in the sunflower. In sunflower, the inflorescence means that group of flowers collected together and become in the same area. In sunflower, they exposed to the sun or move towards the sun. If the sun moves from the east to west, also the flowers moves toward it. This is inflorescence, means a group of flowers collected together and they undergo this reproduction. What is the structure of flower? The structure of flower, number one, flower consists of carpel, stigma, This is carpel is the female reproductive organ. Consists of stigma, style, ovary. And this is the receptacle. Contain the ovary or the ovary contain ovule. What is the sepal? Sepal is the green part of the flower. But what is the petal? Petal is the colored part of the flower. The male organ in flower named by stamen. Stamen consists of anther and the filament. Anther which contain the pollen grains. This is the typical flower. Typical flower means the flower consists of the green part named by calyx. The colored part named by corolla. Okay? The leaflet of calyx known by sepal. The leaflet of corolla known by petal. Then, what is the female organ? The female organ named by carpel. The carpel consists of stigma, style, and ovary. What is the male organ? The male organ named by stamen. The stamen consists of anthers and filament. Dear students, we stop at the flowering or the reproduction in flower. I need to know the reproduction in flower undergo by sexual reproduction. Flowering plant contain many whorls. These whorls, the most important for this reproduction, male and female organs in flower. I enjoy our time with our students. I hope you enjoy also. See you again. Goodbye.